We're not going to do the full intro bit over Zoom, are we?
Why?
Just doesn't seem right. Should we go for it?
Yeah.
You remember it?
Hi, I'm Brian Rose,
I'm Michael Mcpherson.
and welcome to the Lion's Den.
I feel like you missed all the central area, this, that. And we didn't say season 2 of the Lion's Den. Let's do it again. Let's roll it again.
Okay. Hi, I'm Brian Rose.
I'm Michael Mcpherson, and welcome to seasons 2 of the Lion's Den.
That's the one, mate. That's the one.
Let's scrap it, mate. We're not going to get it right. We'll get better as season 2 goes along. Mate, it's good to have you back
in the ring. When we're back in the ring, we're better to do it, won't we?
Yeah, definitely. We should just point out to people that we've decided to do this over Zoom today because we just wanted to get back doing it. Season 2, we've sort of hung back on it for a while because Brian's been focusing on his fights, and we had the opportunity to get a really good guest on, which we'll learn a bit more about in a minute. So we thought, you know what, just do it over Zoom.
Yeah, definitely. Better doing it than not. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next guest.
Exactly, mate. We'll let people know it is first. We've got Ebony Bridges coming on today. Was lucky enough to hook up and meet with her last week and help her out at a little event. We just kind of hit it off. So I said to her, do you want to come on the podcast? And she did. Brian done a bit of a disappearing act halfway through, but yeah, we'll talk a bit more about that in a minute. But I think we should start, mate, just by talking a little bit about your fight. I know by now everyone knows the outcome, and we don't want to kind of go over a defeat because I know it's difficult, but just tell us a bit about it, because I couldn't make it over to Germany, and I was actually at the snooker at the UK Championship with a couple of guys, and I was sitting there. I left the auditorium to go into like the players' lounge to try and get your fight, and sit there and was trying to get the stream, and it just wouldn't work. And I said to Rob, like, second you know what's going on, let me know. And obviously the message come through, and it was like a tough one for me to understand. So I'll let you explain it. Rob said to me, Brian boxed absolutely great, but we took him out before the 8th round. So like, to try and explain that one, you know, try and put that across. You know, you obviously boxed well, but then, you know, had to get out of there. So give us your take on it.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, Bobby won't like this, but I had a lot of messages saying, you know, did Bobby do the right thing pulling you out? Was you not annoyed? Because the fight was competitive and I was always in the fight. But what people don't know is what it was taking me to be in that fight. You know, I was going back to my corner, I was blowing out my arse, I was gassing, and that's not me. You know, later on in the fight is where I usually take over, and that's what I expected to do this fight. I expected him to start quick, and then later on in the fight, get hold of the fight and win it, stop him late on, or win on points convincing, but it just wasn't to be, you know. I said from round 3, I said to Bobby, listen, mate, this ain't going 10 rounds, and he went, for fuck's sake, as if to say, I know what you're going to do. And that's when I started loading up and trying to get him out there as soon as I could, because I just knew I was gassing. And like I say, you know, this week hasn't been as hard as people think. You know, I have been beat and I'm usually really down about it. I must admit I have been down, but it's easy to accept when you've been given the answers. You know, for the last couple of years, I've been drumming around about no regrets. I don't want any regrets, but I'm not going to make any decisions just yet, but I felt old in there. You know, I did. For the first time, I actually thought my age has caught up with me tonight. So, like I said, I'm not making any decisions, but I did struggle. You know, it's probably the toughest fight I've ever had, and it shouldn't have been. You know, it should have been 10 years ago. It would have been straightforward. I'm pretty sure it would have been, but it wasn't to be. And like I said, I've kind of got the answers that I need now.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I always say this to you, and I say like you've never took like the easy road. You always take the hardest road and the hardest route back to try and get to where you was and get more glory in your career and stuff, especially in the later stages. That's a massive answer, and something you deserve a lot of respect for. Like you said, with like Martinez, Fowler, you know, when you box Fowler, you know, he was big prospect. I think you started a bit slow, you come on strong, got beat on points. You go to the Martinez one, you know, probably done enough to win that. You know, I know a lot of people would say definitely done enough to win that. You know, boxed really well against, you know, albeit an older Sergio Martinez, but one of the best fighters, you know, of his time. And then you go and you jump straight into a European title fight against another big prospect. and you kind of get beat fair and square. Is that like the definitive answer you need now? Is it tougher to take that? Is it tougher to take like, it probably is age, and it probably is the fact that, you know, I'm on the wrong side of the hill and he's on the right side? Or is it easier to take when you're kind of robbed, or you've got that little bit of an excuse? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating because there's nothing you can do about getting older, but it gives me the answers. So it puts me at ease and puts me at peace, kind of thing. I'm not saying it's over because I can never say it's over, but it's looking likely. I've got so many other things with you going on, you know, with the Lions Den group. We've got so many big plans, and you know, I'm really looking forward to getting them going. And I did say to you a couple of weeks before my fight, you know, boxing, I feel, is holding me back a little bit from doing these things that I want to get on with. So now's the time just to make this Lions Den group work, and other things going on in my gym. I mean, I was in the shower before my fight. I always have like a ritual cold shower before my fight, and I was thinking, you know what? I've done amazing. And I never say that about myself. I've done amazing because, you know what? For 10 years, I've been fighting at this level. You know, so be it, I might not always win, but I've been fighting this level competitively for 10 years. When I won the British title, 10 years on to that day, I was fighting for the IBF European away from home. So, I mean, that's an achievement in itself. From the age of 25, 26, I've been fighting at a very, very good level. So for me to even be in that ring that night and making it competitive, I think I've done a great job, and I can be proud of myself. And like I say, going forward, I can hold my head up high and know I've done the best I could and gone down every route possible to make it work. And it didn't work the way I wanted it to, but what a great career I've had.
Yeah, 100%, mate. You say all that now, but I'm going to get a phone call from you in a couple of days, and I've taken on a fight in Ukraine against their biggest prospect. I'm going over there. You just love a challenge, but if it is, if it is the end, mate, if it is the end, what a career it's been. Whatever you do,
that's it. And I am. As you get older, you do look back on it and think, you know what, I've done a lot. And I think I've spoke about this before. When you're younger and you're winning these titles and you're fighting for a world title, you think, you don't appreciate it, and you think, you know, is it that good? But now looking back on it, I think I've done fucking amazing. I've done an amazing, you know, I used to dream of being a British champion, not owning it outright, and then not going on to fight for a world title, and then not fight for an IBF international, then an IBF European, and then a WBC silver. Yeah, it's a good level that I fought at.
Yeah, mate, you smashed it. And I'm selfishly, I'm looking forward to it now, because we can start going out and watching our fighters and carrying on with all this business stuff we got. You can turn your title from boxer to like media mogul and entertainment manager and all that kind of stuff. We can start enjoying a beer now. Let me do the podcast.
I know, you said it all last night when you said it all last night when that sponsor got in touch to sponsor the boxers. I was like, oh, I like that brand. Get me, like, you're not a boxer now, you're a media manager.
You can't switch it off, Brian. Yeah, someone contacts us like, yeah, we want to give you boxers a load of free stuff to link up with them. I've sent it to Brian. Look, good news. We're going to look after our fighters. And he's like, hey, what can you get me? I'm still after some free stuff. So am I, mate. You never stop wanting the free stuff. You just don't get it when you're on the other side of it.
That's it, mate. That's it.
I'm sure we'll talk a bit more about the fight when Ebony comes on. Well, we know we're going to talk a bit more about the fight when Ebony comes on. But I just want to talk about a couple of things going on in boxing at the moment. Big British fight got announced last week, probably a few years later than it should have done. And Khan and Brook, what do you think of that one? Who do you think is going to win?
You know what? I'm going to sit on the fence a little bit. I like Kell Brook, and I really want Kell Brook to win.
Yeah.
But I think over time, they both come a little bit soft around the chin. You know, I think just with age and with the injury that was suffered in the fight against Golovkin with Kell Brook. Kell Brook's always had a good chin, but I think since the Golovkin fight, he's not been the same. Yeah. And we all know about Amir Khan's chin. We know he is vulnerable. So I think it is one of the fights, whoever gets who first. I really do. Going back, say, 6 years ago, I'd have put Kell Brook winning that fight all day. I always used to say it. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't like Amir Khan, but he followed me on Twitter once, and then when I lost for that world title, he unfollowed me, which pissed me off. So that's why I always wanted Kell Brook to win.
Brutal, mate. No, I've got to say I'm in the camp of Brook on it. I've always found Brook a bit more likable. But actually, as a boxer, my take on it is that if you'd have took the two fighters when they were coming up and both like prospects and bursting onto the scene, looking at them both, I would have said that Amir Khan had the skills to go further with the pure speed of him and the more of array of shots and stuff like that. But actually, in a fight against each other, and especially now, I think Brook's got the massive upper hand because, I know you're saying, they lost to Golovkin, but I think Khan's so chinny, and I think if Brook catches him, I think he'll go down, and I think he'll be frightened of that as well. I don't think Brook will be frightened of getting knocked out or stopped by Khan. I think he might be frightened of losing the fight, but I think Khan will go into it thinking if he chins me, I know there's a chance that I'm not, I'm waking up a couple of minutes later.
Yeah, again, it's one of them fights, just opinions. You can't blame someone for saying Khan. You can't blame someone for saying Brook. Khan, I don't believe has lost his speed, and he's still at, his hands are so. It's not so much his technical ability; it's how fast his hands are. So that's what he to beat Kell Brook, he just needs to move his feet and throw his fast hands. Yeah. But like you say, it's only a matter of time before he does get hit, and there's going to be some time in that fight where Kell Brook gets him, and that's, like you say, I think Kell Brook will win. But I am sitting on the fence of it because, like I say, it's where we get to first.
Yeah, it's a fight. We're going to go to that one, mate.
Yeah. I mean, we keep saying it, don't we? I keep probably me letting us down as usual, but yeah, we'll go to that.
Yeah, we look forward to that one. And another fight coming up has been announced this week. I kind of wanted to see this fight because I feel like Dillian massively deserves his chance, but I kind of felt like it wouldn't be one that interested Fury. But obviously, Dillian Whyte, Tyson Fury gets set to be announced shortly. What do you think of that one, mate? Do you give Dillian any chance? I know a lot of people aren't, but he's a good boxer and he's only improved.
I don't give anyone a chance against Tyson Fury. I think he's the best out there. I don't think he'll ever be beat, if I'm totally honest. Yeah. But listen, looking at the fight with me and Demetrius Chandra, no one would have given me a chance, and I didn't stand a chance going into it. So let's have it right. He still deserves that chance, doesn't he? He's been around for so long, knocking on that door to a world title, and he deserves it so much more than anyone. So it's got to happen, but whether it does or not, I don't know.
I think it will. I think it's definitely going to get announced. I just don't think it's like you. I can't see Fury getting beat. I just think the only thing that beats Fury is just staying on in the game too long. Going on it till he's like 40, 41, 42. But I think he's too shrewd for that. And he's got too many other things going on. But I think I can just see him beating White. I can see White being very valiant in the fight and trying to throw big shots and trying to get stuck in and trying to rough him up. But he's too big, Fury. He's miles too big. He's too slick. And I think he'll rather beat him heavily on points or even maybe stop him in the late rounds, to be honest.
Yeah, me too. I think he'll stop him late on.
Yeah, definitely. Mate, we're going to bring Ebony on. We're making out as if she's coming on now. We actually recorded with Ebony last night. And like I say, Brian does go missing. But bear with us. She's absolutely great guest. I know it was the first time you spoke to her. And I'd spent a bit of time with her the other night. But she's got this like energy about her, like a real intensity. So it's a good listen. So let's get Ebony on.
Let's get her on.
Ebony, how's it going?
I'm well, thank you. And yourself?
Very good, very good. All the better for seeing you. Thanks for coming on. I know it was late notice. I appreciate that. You have to do all sorts of like hard things to come on, have a shower and stuff like that. So greatly appreciated.
Had to brush my hair, put some clothes on.
That's crazy. I can't believe you did that for us. Thanks so much.
I know.
Nice to finally meet you, Ebony.
Yes, definitely. You too, Brian.
So I'm going to give the people listening a bit of a backstory. So we only met like 3 days ago. Ebony was over in the UK looking to do a meet and greet in Manchester. She goes about and meets her fans, which is brilliant. And yeah, we thought we'd jump on board and help you do it, and it was great. And yeah, I got to say, I was so impressed by your energy that you brought to that, and how much time you had for everyone, for each and every fan, how passionate they were about meeting you, how passionate you were about meeting them. It was a great experience. Something that was really good to be part of.
Yeah, obviously, I love my fans. For me, I do believe, I mean, maybe me more so than some others, but for me, if it wasn't for my fans, I wouldn't be where I am, because it is the fans that are screaming my name, begging Eddie and putting my name out there and being my promoters. Well, I didn't have a promoter, you know what I mean? It was my fans that were pushing me my brand on the social medias and stuff. So yeah, I always want to give back to my fans because, you know, they put in a lot of work to get me noticed and get Eddie to get me over, and they still do it, you know. So yeah, they're important to me.
No, you could definitely see that. And I've got to jump forward to that night. So we went for a bit of dinner after, not just me and you. There are other people there. We went for a bit of dinner after in my local in Didsbury. And I foolishly asked you if the maths teacher thing was a gimmick. And I kind of wished I hadn't now, because I had to kind of jump back because I was going to get my head bit off. But I love that if you're passionate about boxing and meeting your fans, you're even more passionate about teaching. To let people have an insight into your positive mindset, which has got you to where you are. Can you tell us your affirmations that you tell your students and how you deal with negativity?
Yeah, for sure. Like, obviously, I do believe that I always battle am I more passionate about teaching or about boxing? But I think it's very, very close, as you would have realized the other day. But yeah, you know, I believe that the classroom is a place, obviously it needs to be like a safe and a positive environment for young people. And I believe that, like anything in life, it's a mindset that gets you places. And that includes studying and obviously and learning. And because I'm a maths teacher and it's a subject that pretty much a very small percentage of people enjoy math or actually think that they're capable of doing maths, I think it's a perfect place to really show the proof of the right mindset. And yeah, I just push that, you know, believing in themselves. I think it's really important that they need to have belief in themselves that they're capable. And I think it's important that they have to understand that obviously hard work and trying will get you places, you know. And that starts with me with math, because if they actually believe they can do it and they open their mind to the possibility that, hey, actually they can learn, because it's not that they're dumb or it's not that they can't do it. It's just that their minds are closed to wanting to learn because they've been told over and over again by themselves or by other people that maths is just a thing, you either have it or you don't, you know what I mean? So I have classroom rules. I've got your standard classroom rules, you know, put your hand up and, you know, have respect for people and stuff. But one of my main rules is banned words, and they're not allowed to say in the classroom, I can't, it's too hard, or I'm dumb. They're words, I won't have it in my classroom because it's negative self-talk. And they know that if they say that, then they got to come back at lunch and they got to write lines, and not like lines of like negative lines, like lines of affirmation. They have to write like, I'm clever, or I'm capable, or I can do it, or, you know, things where it's like positive. And it's embedding it in them, and they hate it. They think it's so lame. And so, well, in turn, you know, you got the people that actually, you know, have to come and do the lines, so they're having to do it. And then you got people that in the classroom, they won't say these things. They won't say the banned words, because if they say that they're dumb and they tell me they're dumb or they can't or it's too hard, then they're going to have to come back and do the lines. And they rather not put themselves down so they don't have to do the lame affirmations. So then it becomes like a habit for them to bite their tongue and to stop that thought process in the classroom. And yeah, I think it really works really, really well. And, you know, I really push in them as well that I believe in them, you know, and I believe in you and I believe that you're capable. So, you know, if I believe in you, then you can believe in yourself as well, you know, because sometimes these kids, you know, they don't really have teachers. I know I've been in a classroom for so long, is like some teachers don't believe in them, you know, and they'll just say, oh, they can't do it. You know, but I honestly do believe that, you know, anyone can do anything that they put their mind to.
My late trainer, Andy Sutton, he was a French teacher. He was my trainer for like 10 years. He's not with us anymore, but he used to ring my school every week and make sure I was being good at school. And so I was a bit of a tearaway at school, but he actually stopped me from coming to the gym if I was being naughty at school, and it worked to treat like my friends were at the gym. So if I was being bad at school, I wasn't allowed to the gym. So it worked for me, my school teacher being my trainer too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I semi-bribe my students with my boxing, and like I told them, like, you know, if they do their work and they get it all done, then I'll let them watch me, you know, bash people up. Like, and I'll go put one of my fights on, and like in the last 5 minutes, I'll be like, I can show you some highlights, or I'll show you my last fight.
I thought you was going to say,
they love it.
If you're naughty, I'm going to give you a black eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's answering back in that class.
Yeah. I mean, I don't do that, but the kids do come up to me sometimes and joke, like, I don't know if they're joking around, but they'll try and put their friends in it, and they'll be like, oh, miss, like Jacob said that he wants to spy you, or he wants to fight you. And I'm like, oh yeah, come on, let's go. And I'll get him, I don't do like a little feint, and they'll like shit themselves.
Yeah, all you got to do is get in a boxing stance with anyone that doesn't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and they shit themselves. Yeah, but no, look, like I said, you know, I love it. And for me, it's more than just the maths and the teaching. You know, I'm very passionate about mindset. I believe that in life with anything, it's all mindset. You know, positive mindset, self-belief. Your mind controls what you tell your mind. That's the reality. You know what I mean? That's all it knows. So if we can start changing that mindset, or start embedding and programming that positive mindset and belief and drive from an early age, then hopefully they can take it into their, you know, their adult years, when it's obviously going to be just as important.
Yeah, 100%. I've got to say there, I think you both said it's so true that as someone who likes boxing, trains a bit, but is completely non-professional, bog standard amateur, when a proper boxer, elite boxer, gets into stance in front of you, you do absolutely melt. I've had it a few times. Tony Bell, you did it to me. You've done it to me. You've not done it to me yet, but even just from the podcast, I was like in trouble. It's so weird. It's like a different style.
I can imagine Tony Bellew's a little bit scarier than me, though, mate.
50-50. It wasn't. He's much scarier. So
I reckon I'd scare Tony.
You probably would, to be fair. You probably would. He'd be backing off. He'd be running out.
Yeah.
Ebony, I know you've done a lot of other sports. You were talking the other day about bodybuilding, and you're a sporty person and stuff like that. When did it kind of sort of the penny drop with you when it was like, no, it's got to be boxing. This is what I want to do.
It's a little bit of a long story that I'll try and shorten for you. But I felt like everything that I've done in my life from the age of 5 had kind of destined me to this point. I believe, because everything that I've done has almost set me up to become a fighter, you know, and particularly boxing. But yeah, like I started martial arts when I was 5. So I'd done martial arts, and I'd always been into combat sports. And, you know, I was like that kid that used to just watch all the Jean-Claude Van Damme movies and, you know, Sylvester Stallone and all these, like I've always been into it, you know. And so I did that for, you know, pretty much my whole younger years. And when I was in high school, I did some training in kickboxing and Muay Thai. But in Australia, it wasn't legal for women to fight combat sports until 2008. There was some modified rules in different states, but it was very rare, and it wasn't really legal across most of the country. So it was never really something that I knew I thought that I could compete in. So then I went down and I changed, and I went down the bodybuilding route. But while I was doing bodybuilding, because I loved boxing and, you know, even kickboxing, everything, combat sports so much. And I started doing I was a card girl. So I could be at the fights and I could be in the ring and be next to all the action. And I started doing card girling, and I did that for like 10 years, all through my 20s. While I was bodybuilding, I was doing the cards for all boxing and kickboxing. I got flown around the country to do it. So yeah, I mean, I was there already in the faces of it all. And then when I finished bodybuilding, which was like in my late 20s, I was just like, well, what can I do? You know, like, I don't want to just like, that's it. Like, I need to compete in something. I'm competitive, but like self-competitive, you know. I like to have goals, and I like to be working towards things. And so it just came natural to me. It was like, well, shit, you know what I mean? Like, I've always been into fighting, like, you know, and boxing. I'm a big boxing fan. And now we can fight. So why not? I will get into it a bit more seriously. So yeah, and then I had my first amateur fight 2 weeks before my 30th birthday. And yeah, just haven't looked back since. And I think I was lucky. I had quite a lot of following of fans because I was a card girl. So when I turned over into boxing in Australia, like, you know, it was like, oh my God, the card girl's fighting now, you know, and they kind of knew I was tough anyways, because I was always at the fights, and like, you know, I've always been a bit like that. But yeah, so it was pretty good. So that's kind of the road that I went down.
Can I just ask, when you was a card girl, or ring girl as we call it here, how many times were you like walking around with like round 2, round 3, round 7, just thinking I could knock these two idiots spark out if I wanted to? I had to just jump in now and finish them off.
Yeah, maybe a couple of times, you know. I'm like I said, I'm a big boxing fan, so like I would be sitting there going, what is going on? You know what I mean? Like, you know, and I've always been, you know, and analyzed boxing and stuff. But yeah, probably not. I mean, I wasn't really, I was like sometimes even like holding the cards out, like trying to, especially like Thai boxing and kickboxing, a lot of blood in that. You know what I mean? So I'd be like ringside, like trying to like avoid the blood. But yeah, no, it was fun. You know, I loved it. I've always been an entertainer. I love entertaining. So I really enjoyed doing card girling, and I really enjoyed getting paid to sit like literally ringside to the fights and see the action close up. But then when it was time, you know, and I was able to go in, you know, obviously go in the ring now to actually do what I love and punch shit out of people. It was, yeah, it was great.
I'm going to bring Brian in on this one actually, because there's something you said there that's crazy. Really, you think like first amateur fight at 30 or just before 30. and then at like 35 to be at the level you're at now and talking about like world title fights on the biggest stage. Brian's been boxing, I would say, since what, Brian, 7-8 years old?
Yeah, I started boxing. My first fight when I was 11, but I started boxing when I was 9.
Yeah.
But it sounds like I put a hand to everything. She's just tried just about everything. Like she says, she's been around the fight game for a long time. So I think that's helped her so much adapting to the pro game.
Yeah, definitely. But if you think 41 fights that you've had in your career, 41 battles and all the amateur experience, to do that in 5 years, it must be like, you're jumping straight into the deep end. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing, really. I mean, I had 90 amateur fights and then turned pro when I was 19 and then had 41 pro fights. So I've been fighting all my life. And that's what, I mean, I spoke about it. It worries me having to finish boxing because, I've never had a job, never done anything. So doing this podcast with you, Ebony, actually occupies my mind. So thanks.
No, you're welcome. You know what? That's the thing, and like I understand exactly what. Well, I mean, I don't understand, but I can see the issue with that is with people that have been. That's all they know. Boxing. That's all you know, or any sports person. You got your footballers or your rugby players or your NFL players, and like that. Once their career finishes, it's so hard to let go because like now what? Like I literally don't know anything else, and it is one thing. Like me as a teacher that I push with my students because I do work in a sports school, is that. Unfortunately, sport isn't around forever, and it is hard to make that adjustment. So it's always good to have, some kind of thing that you can like back up on or understand that it is going to come to an end, and you need to be mentally prepared for that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, sorry, how old are you, Brian?
I'm 36 now.
Yeah. So, but at the same time, you're only 36. You've still got so much life ahead of you that, like, you can literally start something. Like, I literally just started boxing at 30. You know what I mean? So, like. You can start anything you want now. Like it's your next chapter. You finish that chapter and now you go into your next chapter, and you got the whole world ahead of you. You got all this experience in life and with boxing that now you can, come and think of something else that's gonna hit that spark for you, and you can find that. And maybe
I might not have to get punched in the face again. I'm quite relieved.
Yeah.
So.
But we kind of secretly like being punched in the face. Like
I know.
Honestly.
It weren't for my mum and my wife and people saying, "Come on, please retire." I'd fight until I was 50. I absolutely love bleeding. I mean, this is a different story, but I absolutely love fighting. Honestly, I love it.
Oh, I mean, I'm the same. Obviously, I hadn't. When I had my first amateur fight, I only fought amateur for 2 years. I was never interested in amateurs. I'd actually never watched an amateur fight in my life, because I was always just the pros. Like I grew up, Costa Zoo was one of my heroes, like in my teens. Like I loved Costa Zoo, and Chavez and all those guys and Tyson, obviously. And I didn't know anything about amateur boxing and really, because I'd always been around the pro scene, like even with the card, like the ring card stuff is always pro stuff. But I just knew that I wanted to be a pro boxer, but I knew that I couldn't go straight into it because I was like, you need to actually like really learn and practice, because it is a dangerous sport. So I kind of just pumped out in my amateurs. I pumped out 30 fights in the 2 years. And those 2 years, I only had 4 losses. I was Golden Gloves both of those years, National Golden Glove champ and state champion both those years. But like I said, I'd already come from a bit of a martial art background. I was never scared of fighting. I got into a lot of fights in my teens, so it wasn't like I've just been like this bimbo girl and I've just gone, I'm just going to do some like boxercise, and now I just want to like punch faces because it's fun and like I want to be fit. It was never like that. It was never like I want to do some boxercise and get fit and hey, I actually like this. It was like, no, I like fucking cracking skulls and I actually like hurting people. So let me just fucking do it, because I've obviously got anger issues. So might as well get paid for it, because it costs a lot of money when you hit someone in the street. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it kind of like it was always in me, to do it. And then it just made sense. And obviously coming into it a little bit more mature, and having the wisdom that I had and the understanding of boxing as a business, because I'm a boxing fan as well, and just knowing how it all worked. And I know as a fan what fans want. I think that's what made it easier for me to kind of sell myself to a degree. Do you know what I mean?
But I was 19, 20 and I was paid. My dad made me work, so I was like a paint and decorator. And I said, Dad, I fucking hate this, please. I don't want to do it no more. He went, well, turn pro then. So I went, right, I'll turn pro. And that's the only reason I turned pro, because I didn't want to roll the walls all day or stand there painting. the reason I turned pro, because I probably was a bit too young, but I thought, fuck it, I might as well do it.
If you're going to do it, you might as well get paid for it, right?
Exactly. And like you say, like, what's the point in fighting on the street and you don't get paid for that? You know, I'd fight anyone for money, but I wouldn't fight anyone for free. So
yeah.
He does that. You know what he said there about the painting and decorating, Ebony? He says that to me now about the podcast. He goes, please don't make me do the podcast. I don't want to do it. Please don't make me do it. He's going to go back to painting and decorating soon.
No, look, I mean, you gotta, I just feel like, you know, you just gotta embrace every moment, like, and the time that you're in and enjoy, I suppose, what you've done. And everything that you've done in life has led you to a certain point. Like I said, everything I've done has led me to this, you know what I mean? Yeah. And all your experience, I mean, 41 professional fights.
Yeah.
Fuck. Like, I kind of wish that I had that much time, but I'm unfortunately old. And I just, you know, I don't know how many fights I'd have left, but probably not many because I am older, you know what I mean? And I'm a woman and I do want to have a family. So that's heartbreaking to me because I'm so in love with the sport because I'm such a newbie, you know what I mean? But I really do have a time limit, which fucking sucks, you know what I mean? So I am doing these things like, you know, brand, like with Michael, you know, what he's saying is like the brand building and stuff like this. So, you know, I can set myself up because I do understand that there's an expiration date on it, which sucks, you know.
He's still there, right? Yeah, it's that's something I was going to ask both of you actually. You know, I'm sidetracking a little bit here because you talk about in terms of ages, you and Brian are, you know, are very similar, but in terms of where you are in your career, yours is going up, and you know, Brian's kind of had his career. Do you think it's down to, instead of it being age, you spoke a bit about age after the Radovan fight, Brian, but do you think it's more mileage on the clock than age? Like, would you love to be in like Emily's position now, even being 36, but only having like 7-8 fights on your record? Do you think it's the, you know, the battle scars that kind of age you?
Well, to be honest, I'm 36 and not many people go on till the 36. Not many people have 41 pro fights. And I believe early on in my career, I was a very good technical boxer, didn't get hit much. It's only been the, you know, when I fought for a British title and I had that world title eliminator, then I fought for the world title. They're the fights that I had wars and I got hit. So if you think about it, I've not had them wars. You know, some people come forward and they're constantly getting hit. I never had that. Even through my amateur career, I don't think I ever got a black eye in the 90 amateur fights that I had. So I think I've been, I think it's the way I fight, and that's the way I've got away with it until now. And the other night when I fought, I think I just got found out. You know, I think age caught up with me that night, and I never thought it would. You know, I felt amazing in the gym, but then I was gassing every round, and that's not me. I usually come on strong later on in the fight. That just didn't happen the other night.
They say in boxing you can age in one fight overnight. They do say that can happen. You know, it can hit you.
That's what happened to me, definitely.
Yeah, but you know, in saying that, you know, obviously I've been an athlete my whole life, so an extreme athlete, you know, so I've pushed my body beyond, you know what I mean? Like with bodybuilding, it's insane. You can't explain it, you know, until you really, you know, what we put ourselves through, but we're pretty much trying to break ourselves every single session as well, you know. So I have a lot of wear and tear from that, and every camp that I do, I'm battling injury after injury after injury. Every fight I go into, I get injured, you know what I mean? And that is an age thing as well, even though I am not, say, the mileage in the clock as a fighter, you know, but I have been an athlete my whole life and a high level athlete. Even when I played football, I was a high level. I played football at a high level as well. You know what I mean? So I, you know, I just think age in general is always going to be a factor. You know, I would assume, maybe not getting hit as much. You know, like what you said, like, you know, those kind of wars or the kind of style that you have in boxing is definitely going to help, I suppose, your brain. You know what I mean? And those kind of things. But the fact is, I think just even doing a training camp is so much wear and tear on your body. The sparring, like without the even fighting, like I don't, you know, I mean, I'll get injured a little bit in my fights, but besides that, I feel like I get a lot more injuries and a lot more issues in my training. You know, it's for me, like, can I survive my camp so I can actually fight? Do you know what I mean? That's how it feels for me a lot of the time.
Yeah, definitely. Before we move on from that,
I can only do 4 or 5 rounds of sparring because of my nose. I'm scared of it cutting. My shoulder's gone after injections in my shoulder. I mean, nobody knows this. So keep it a secret. I don't want anyone to know, but it's something that I'm certainly going to be using as an excuse when I retire.
Yeah, definitely. No, I totally understand.
That's going to be your excuse when Danielle asks you to put the bins out, isn't it? I can't, Danielle. Shoulder's gone. Nose can only 12 around.
I'm the same. I get cortisone injections in my elbow like every camp, you know, and my shoulder as well. It's horrible, but you know, we got to get through.
I've got to say to both of you before we move on from this little conversation is like, I know 36, 35 in sport, it's such a short career and it feels like you sort of coming to the end and stuff like that. And you're so age aware in sport. But actually, if you think about what you've both achieved, it's like every person's dream, it's every sports person's dream. Like I'm sitting here to do a sport I love at an elite level would just be incomprehensible, amazing. So, you know, whatever happens for both of you going forward, like you've already achieved so much. So when the journey comes to an end, for Brian, it might be now. For you, Evan, it might be 10 years' time, hopefully. You know, you can look back and say, right, I'm going into the next stage, having absolutely reached the pinnacle of my sport. It's something that not many people can say.
You know what? I feel like this has been a really good counselling session for me. I think it's helped me so much. Like I've been a bit down over the last couple of days, but now I can go home and just be happy and relieved that I've spoke to you.
I'll send you the invoice.
You know, I have this effect.
Yeah, definitely.
I make people happy. No, but it's facts. It's true. You know, obviously, Michael, you know, you're speaking facts, and we all are really, you know, and it is true. Far out, like, you know, we can sit here and be like, fuck, I wish I started boxing when I was 20. I think imagine where I would be, or imagine if I was 25 and I still did have another 10 years, you know, because I'm just starting. But the reality is, as I don't. You know, I'm not going to be having kids when I'm 45. You know, I'm not going to do that. And unfortunately, as a woman, we have, you know, these are problems, but things I got to think about as a woman coming into my late 30s. You know what I mean? Family and stuff like this. So it is hard in that sense. But exactly, the main thing is that what I look at doing is I live every day and I make sure that I make the most of every single day, every single minute, and I do my very best in everything that I do. Because I want to not have a regret. I don't have regrets anyways, but I don't want to look back and like, you know what, I could have done this or I could have done that. But I know that if I give it everything and I really go after what I want, even though it might be short and sweet, it's going to be the best that it can be, you know?
Yeah. That's exactly like me. Yeah, I've drummed on about it for years, about having no regrets. And that's the reason I'm still doing it. But the other night was different to any other defeat. And that was, you know, I can actually leave this sport now knowing I've got no regrets because I've exhausted all avenues. You know, I've tried everything. I've took hard fights, and there's always been an excuse. You know, when I've been beat, it's always been like, oh, well, this happened. But that last fight, there was nothing. You know, I just got beat by the better man. Maybe I am a bit too old now.
I know you've got this incredible platform now. You know, I know you're fully aware of the image that you've got, and you know, like the weigh-ins and everything like that, and you embrace it so well. I see that the other night. You use your platform. One thing I really respect you for is you use that platform, and I believe you are probably across all social platforms, they're definitely the most, you know, viewed or famous or most followers, whatever the correct term is, of like women's boxers. You use that platform so well to help other women boxers. I've seen you like all week on your socials, meeting up with people, plugging them, tagging them. Is that something that really means something to you, giving other, you know, women the platform to do it themselves?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I love helping people and I love giving back. And I think, you know, it doesn't take much to do these little things, especially for people that are trying to come up, you know, maybe people that don't have as much following or they're just needing to like crack a little bit, you know, it doesn't go, it goes a long way. And I believe like, why not, you know, because I have obviously a lot of shine on me and there's nothing wrong with giving a little bit of my light to other people, you know what I mean? Because I think that especially women's boxing, where we're still like quite far behind and there's still people are not knowing us as much. So the more eyes we can get on, obviously the more eyes we can get on the sport. And that's what I've tried to do. I'm trying to get more eyes on the sport. So, you know, people are actually interested in seeing other women. So other women can be successful and, you know, and get there. Oh, it's gone. Brian's phone left.
We've lost Brian, don't worry. He'll come back. He'll come back at some stage. We're not professional on this podcast, but we try our best.
That's okay. Yeah. So yeah, it's just yeah, I think it's important and you know, they appreciate it a lot. And I just love to support other people. I love seeing other people be successful, you know. You know, I it's just something that I'm very passionate about. Like I said, like I teach my students because I want everyone to be successful and I want everyone to see their potential. And, you know, me putting out a little post or tagging someone or saying, hey, follow this person or whatever it may be, like it's something so small for me, but I've got such a big platform that it can, you know, really help these people a little bit, you know. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't cost money to be kind. You know, it doesn't cost to be kind, and I think those little things are really important, especially in women's boxing. You know, to support each other. So
no, you're doing a great job of that. Seriously, it's like you know, you probably are. You know, you've got the guys of Katie Taylor and Natasha Jonas's, and you know they're doing great and what they're doing in the ring. But you know, in terms of profile and performance, you're out there at the moment probably as the biggest. And you know what you're giving back is superb. So it's really admirable.
Yeah, thank you. No, I do. I appreciate that. You know, and it's just a natural thing. I think. You know, I mean, you've got plenty of, obviously, like you said, there are some girls out there with big platforms. Maybe not as big, but still quite big. Or even Kate Taylor's is big, but yeah, they don't, you know, they don't plug in as much. It's like everyone is for themselves in boxing, and I totally understand that because it is a sport like that. But as well on social media, it's a different world these days as well, and it doesn't take much to, you know, to help the up and comers. And I like to do, you know, these things like even podcasts, you know, or interviews with smaller channels, because we all started somewhere. You know, people gave me a chance and people helped me when I was starting out. So I always like to give back and remember that, you know, it doesn't hurt to give that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. And we are trying to get Brian back for people listening. I'm sure that when we were pre-recording this, so when it finally goes out, we'll have loads of excuses for it and we'll be able to tell you what happened to him. But right now we don't know. We just don't know. Yeah, I'm sure he's okay and well. If anyone's seen Brian, can you please let us know? Before you go, there's a couple of things. I just want to ask you what's next for you in your career, what you'd like to be next, the fights you'd want next. And finally, I want to ask you, underneath, you know, this image, this larger than life, the blonde bomber, everything like that, what makes Ebanie Bridges tick? What is the success for? What really drives you?
Okay, so first question, what is I want next in my career?
Yeah,
obviously, yeah, the belts, you know, I want to get a world title fight. Get a world title belt. You know, that's my main goal. That was always my goal. You know, it's funny because I'll go into my old gym in Australia, in my amateur gym, and I go back in there and I've had some of the, like, obviously my, you know, training buddies and stuff, and they're like, you know, Ebony, a couple of years ago when you're still an amateur and used to train really hard, and I remember once coming up to you and saying to God, what motivates you? Like, why do you train so hard? And I remember you saying to me, you know what, because that's what champions do. World champions, they train like this, and that's how champions train. So I knew back then that I wanted to be a champion, and, you know, I always had that mindset and believed that I was going to be a champion, and you know, and I always said it. So now I'm just waiting to, you know, make that come true. And I believe that it will, because I totally believe in myself. I believe in the skill, and I believe in the graft and the hard work that I do. And I also believe that when I say I'm going to do something, it happens, and I do it, and every single time. So this is no different for me. So I do believe I'm going to be a world champion, and God willing, it's going to be early in the year, February, March, and obviously on a matchroom card. And yeah, and then after that, you know, I want to look at making the good fights. It's all about for me, it's all about fans. So I'd like to make good fights for the fans. You know, obviously unifying is good as well. But you know, once I hit that world title fight, and I get that world title belt, that's the main thing I've got for, like, not a material thing, but, you know, like a I don't know what it's called, like an achievement. Is it obviously a world title? Yeah, a trophy or which I'm happy with. But on the outside of that, you know, I'm all about just entertaining, man, and giving the fans the fights that they want. Or just, I'm happy to just be, if I'm fighting in a fight, as long as they can, I want the fans to be like, oh, Ebanie Bridges is fighting. Yeah, I want to tune into that because she's exciting to watch. You know what I mean? Or, you know, wow, that was a good fight. If I lost and people are like, you know what, she lost, but damn, that was a good fight and that was entertaining. Just like the Courtney fight, for example. Yeah. Like, you know, it is about winning. I do want to win, but at the same time, my priority is to make women's boxing look good, make it look exciting, and be a fan favorite. You know what I mean? Like, my favorite fighters, you know, they're those kind of entertaining fighters.
Well, I've got to say, you've definitely done that. Like I said to you when we met the other night, you know, you burst onto the scene. Certainly for me in the Courtney fight, we disagreed because I thought that she just had that bit of experience to just nick it from you, and you said otherwise. But I said I'm always honest, so I had to say that. But come away from that, and I was like, this girl is tough. She can fight. She's got skills, and, you know, this is the kind of person we want to get behind and, you know, be a fan of. So I'm sure you're going to get those belts. I'm sure your career is just beginning, and you're going to achieve great things. And I'm sure beyond that you will do, because you're an empowering and very inspiring character.
So what was the other part of the question?
I said, what makes you tick? You know, underneath, like, all the you know, like the image, the glamour, the blonde bomber stuff. You know, the drive for success in boxing. What is that all for? What is, in a way, who is the real Ebanie Bridges?
Yeah, I mean, obviously all of it. Like, I do it all for, I I just love, I think, obviously being successful, and I make goals, and I just love achieving my goals. And I think it was, especially with me wanting to be a world champion, or me wanting to box, for example, it was all about just doing what I said I was going to do, and being wanting to be successful, and make sure I do my very best in everything that I do. I believe I've only got one life. I live like that. Tomorrow is never promised. And I've been through a hell of a lot. And I had a life, my life was very different, 15 years ago. And I think I made a promise to myself back then that I wouldn't waste a minute, and that I wouldn't, you know, um, cut myself short, or hold myself, low. And that I just want to make sure that, I go out and know that I've given everything, and I've done everything that I can, and not wasted a minute. And I hate to have regrets, and I don't have regrets. And one of the reasons that I don't have regrets is because I do everything that I possibly can. And winning, or if you lose, or if you don't achieve things, then I just believe that, well, there's not more that I could have done. I've done everything possible, and that's just how it is, and that's what's meant to be. I live by that motto that everything happens how it should and when it should, and for a reason. And I've seen it over and over again, good or bad. It's always happened for a reason. And yeah, I mean, this is just, for me, my destiny. So
yeah, 100%. Well, I look forward to being there on the journey. I look forward to seeing you lift the belts, win the belts, go on, entertain the fans, and achieve everything you want to achieve. And it was so good to meet you this week. In the couple of days that we've kind of been chatting, you're an inspiring character. Your energy is amazing, and you can just see that, like, possibilities limitless for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm very glad that we met as well, and I'm definitely looking forward to working together. And yeah, I mean, I can see big things coming ahead. And yeah, let Brian know I said bye. And
I will do. I've not received the ransom note yet, so he's obviously okay. Like, if someone comes forward and says we want 10,000 quid in cash, like, I'll offer him 8, and I'll try and get him back.
Just tell them I'll give them my socks or something.
Yeah, they'll take that. That's definitely worth more than 8,000. Like, I've been on eBay, I've seen what those socks were. Ebony, have a nice evening.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Mate, what happened to you? Tell us all what happened to you.
My battery went. I was actually rushing around. I only had 3 or 4% battery coming in. I don't know why I thought it would last. I never thought, but I did all right. I was on for quite a while, considering I only had 4% battery. Mate, I'm sorry. You know what it was? I had said my bit, and then when you started talking, I thought, right, I'm going now.
I thought it was that. No, you know what? I'm gonna bow you out of this one, mate, by telling everyone the truth. So, we're chatting to Ebony yesterday, and she was like, I just mentioned the podcast. She was like, oh, it looks really cool. She was like, oh, come on. And I was like, oh, that's great. Yeah, we'll definitely get you on next season. She was like, well, how about now? I'm free for the next hour or so. So I was like, right, we can't miss this opportunity. We've got to get her on. So I phoned Brian up. He's like, well, I'm out and about. Blah blah blah. I won't be home for a bit of time. And I was like, mate, we need to make this happen. And he's like, yeah, I will do. I'll get to my gym. We'll do it now. Goes into it with 3% battery at the drop of a hat. And yeah, he only made half the interview, but yeah, just that half the interview was enough. He was there for enough of it, mate, to make it.
The things you do for your friends. You just told a massive lie for me there.
I don't lie, mate. I don't lie. It's the truth.
I'm only joking.
It's honest.
No, that is the truth, guys. That is the truth.
It's not really. It's a terrible lie. You'll never know now. Whoever's listening, tell us, is it a lie or is it the truth?
I know. You know what? We've actually convinced people. They probably don't know what to believe now.
No, it is the truth. It is the truth. It is the truth. I'll give you the answer. But yeah, no, Ebony was great. Look forward to, like we said on there, doing some work with her. Big event next year in Leeds after she hopefully wins the world title. Going to do a massive event for her. She's a really positive person. She also dropped in that she's on SAS Australia early part of next year, which has already been filmed. I think you're going to start to see a really, really different side of her. Obviously was aware of her, from the weigh-in stuff, and she shows some real heart against Shannon Courtney, and she can clearly fight. But when you get to know Ebony, she's going a long way. She's a powerful and inspiring character.
Yeah, I think people get the wrong impression of her. They see her on the scales with the underwear she wears and stuff like that, but she can fucking fight. By the sounds of it, she's got her head screwed on, and she knows what she's doing. She knows what she wants in life. She even gave me a little bit of advice. Yeah. So she definitely knows what she wants in life.
I see that, mate, as well. And you listen to her as well. I give you advice like that all the time, and you just, like, I can see it's going straight over your head. And Ebony tells you, oh yeah, Ebony, yeah.
It says a lot about you, then, doesn't it, mate?
I just can't captivate. I just can't captivate the audience like Ebony can.
No, I always listen to your advice.
Oh, mate. Well, that's probably where you're going wrong. Listen, mate, it was great to get back together and do this. And like we said before, we got this is season 2 kicked off now. We've got some great guests coming up again. We're back in the gym recording, and you know, I'm really glad to be doing it again. It's only going to go big now, mate.
Me too. Exciting times ahead. You know, when I've made a decision on what's next in the boxing, I know I've got a good break from it now anyway. So there's loads we can be getting on with, and I'm really looking forward to doing it alongside you, mate.
No, mate, pleasure. Hang the gloves up, pal. One more farewell fight. That's what we need. One more. I'll jump in with you. You can knock me out in about 30 seconds.
Although we did sound like a married couple when you said back together.
don't spread those kind of rumours. I'm a happily engaged man. Not sure about you though.
I'm married.
Look at you justifying it. All right, pal. Well, I'll see you again on season 2, on episode 2.
See you soon, mate.